You welcome back. This is our front. My name is Raymond Alqua. And our front today is a pretty simple task. You know that today, as we speak, there are 9 people who are supposed to be standing trial in relation to an attempt to overthrow this government. All of these 9. The latest one is Dr. Benjamin Agojo. Now, today, Dr. Benjamin Agojo was accused specifically of having to play certain roles, and I'll read to you what the charge sheet in the court said. And of course, the statement of offense pretty much says that abetment of crime, namely treason felony, which is contrary to section 21 and also 1A2B of the Criminal and Other Offences Act. But there's more detail in this. The detail clearly stipulates that the accused person is a senior police officer who was stationed at the police headquarters in Accra. Sometimes in November 2018, the accused person, whilst he was in the UN missions in Entebbe, was invited by Frederick Yao McPam. This particular man is the doctor whose home they first found the evidence government is presenting on this matter. Presently in custody, the founder of an NGO called Take Action Group, and this is the WhatsApp group that members were said to have been planning the attempt to overthrow this government. Now, the accused person agreed to join the group and was subsequently added to the TAG platform. And I've stated that this is a WhatsApp platform. Now, prior to the accused person's invitation to the group or the TAG platform, Zhao McPalm and others in custody had discussed their intention to demonstrate against the government, leading to the taking over of government. So there's an explanation here of there will be a demonstration, but the demonstration, according to what the people of this republic has actually put before court in their quest to insist that the man is involved, to say that demonstration will lead to a takeover of government one way or the other. Now, what they also say is that subsequently the accused was informed of the intended demonstration, which he agreed to take part, though he was on a mission in a mission area. The accused would expectedly join the discussion on the platform to organize the demonstration against the government and taking over of government. That several meetings were held between the accused and other persons currently in custody to facilitate the execution of the demonstration against the government and taking over of government. Further, the accused, whilst on vacation to Ghana, held several meetings with the leadership of the group currently in custody and incited them to go on a demonstration against the government and to take over the government as a right. This, in his quest, is to show his commitment. The accused person assisted the unlawful enterprise with various sums of money to facilitate the organization of the intended unlawful and the taking over exercise. Now, again, the accused person drafted a speech to be delivered on that fateful day of the demonstration, which is supposed to be on the 1st of November 2019. Of course, he was arrested by the BNI on the 4th to assist in investigations. In compliance with the rule of law, the accused person is arraigned and put before the courts required into proper custody to assist investigations. They want him remanded. And the statement also says that the investigation, we understand, is progressing. So this is Government of Ghana's case before the courts. First, let me speak to a former Deputy Interior Minister. He's also a lawyer, so maybe some of this will be clear-cut to him better than some of us in this case. You're welcome, sir. The Honorable James Agaga.
Thank you, Raymond.
I hope you are doing well.
I'm fine.
He's also a ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee. Again, Parliament today has been demanding that they be protected and given specific protection. In fact, this is not the first time this matter has come up, but I wanted to find out from him whether he has let go of his police officer who was with him then. But I hope you are doing well again.
I'm fine, Raymond.
Yes. I was asking whether you let go of your... as a deputy minister, you had police protection or you didn't allow that?
I was entitled to police protection. But after the 7th of January 2017, I ceased to be a deputy minister of state.
Yes.
And so I lost the privilege to be protected by the state, even though I remain an MP, and of course a proud one at that. The, if you like, complaints expressed by Parliament, I think are genuine, and let us not play with this. Members of Parliament, like all Ghanaian citizens and those who reside within our territory are entitled to be protected by the state. But in the particular case of members of parliament, I think that they have not been treated fairly. If you consider the fact that members of the executive arm of government are protected, and that is why I used to be entitled to that kind of protection when I was Deputy Minister of State. The judiciary are entitled to protection, and so judges are protected. They have bodyguards, they have protection at home. Why not Parliament, the third arm of government? And yet, the work of legislators exposes them to a lot of harm and risks, because people have various interests. For instance, if I were to die today, my death is going to occasion a by-election in my constituency. So certain individuals...
But you can die from several other ways.
Yes. But we see we have a history.
There are medical reasons you can die.
We have a history.
Yeah.
A member of parliament was assassinated in his home. I'm talking about J.B. Dankwa.
I want to be clear, my mind.
J.B. Dankwa, yes.
Just one.
Several others. Several others came under attack. Several others. And so today, what actually...
Is your situation not reflecting
what triggered the discussion in Parliament today was an attack, an attempted assassination on the life of the Honorable Andy Kankam. And so a statement was read to that effect by the majority leader. And this then triggered the heated debate, or if you like, contributions to that statement. And calls, various calls were then made, like before, for members of Parliament to be given protection.
There's a general concern about whether or not you really care about the people you represent and whether or not their security is not utmost. Shouldn't you be interested in whether we are all safe in the state rather than seeking for protection for
Raymond, I have made the point time with that number that the security of Ghanaians, it's paramount. And so whilst we work at improving the overall, the general security situation in our country, it is also important that the third arm of government is treated fairly. This argument would equally apply to the judiciary and the executive.
I get your point.
And you made the point that I used to be entitled to protection. So what has changed? Is it the case that we want to place the executive over and above the legislative arm, or the judiciary over and above the legislative arm?
Honorable James Agaga, I've been asked to take a break. When I return from this break, I will actually come back to you on this particular point. Well, folks, we'll be back after this break. You're welcome back. This is UPfront. So I did tell you that I'll be having the chairman of the Committee on Defense and Interior in Parliament join us. The Honorable Sir Champo, you're welcome.
Thank you.
So it's ranking and also the chairman and his ranking on the Defense and Interior Committee. Because they are also Defense and Interior people, and they are part of those who are making demands in the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana for protection for themselves and to make sure that they are safe. This is because they say recently a member of Parliament was held at gunpoint in his home for several hours, a situation that many Ghanaians have felt anyway. But that particular situation should bring up a very important need for them to be protected. The Honorable James Agaga was the one defending the quest to isolate MPs and give them special protection.
Not isolate, Raymond.
Yes,
I did say isolate.
Yes, but
Ghanaians must be protected.
Yeah.
We must work at improving on the general situation we find ourselves in, this insecurity
and
in our country.
That's not going to happen anytime soon. MPs should be prioritized and given protection.
We're saying that for far too long. Why? There are three arms of government. The executive have protection. The judiciary have protection. If we accept the argument that, look, the overall security situation in the country is what needs to be improved upon to make it unnecessary for the legislature to be protected, then let us withdraw security for the president. Let us withdraw security for the judiciary and the ministers of state.
Oh, so this is
but so long as
a privilege, so far as you become an MP.
So long as we offer protection to the presidency and the executive as well as the judiciary, I think we are being unfair to the legislative arm of Parliament.
Honorable Sir Champion, would you differ in opinion on this matter, at least in defense of the people you serve?
Raymond, we are practicing a democracy, is it?
Yeah, I
which
agree.
is
we are trying to.
which is practiced within the confines of the rule of law. Our Bill of Rights, the big Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, Article 78 and 79, Ministers of State. I'm going to read those articles with your permission. 78 says Ministers of State. Ministers of State shall be appointed by the President with the prior approval of Parliament from among members of Parliament or persons qualified to be elected as members of Parliament, except that the majority of Ministers of State shall be appointed from among members of Parliament. This is one. I want to go back to the next appointment, which is the appointment of deputy ministers. And I'll jump the next sub-clauses under Article 78. I go to Article 79. Deputy minister. The President may, in consultation with a Minister of State and with prior approval of Parliament, appoint one or more deputy ministers to assist the minister in the performance of his duties. 2, 79(2). A person shall not be appointed a deputy minister unless he is a member of Parliament or is qualified to be elected as a member of Parliament.
Your point is?
Let me tell you, when you were even using the language you used to even describe the narrative which is out in the media today, they say,
yes,
it's as if, it's as if the MPs do not even matter. And it is true because of the perception which is running around.
No, you've been known,
unfortunately, we are seen as the guinea pigs. So everybody rises up and then just chastises us. But for the arms of government to run, you need prior approval of Parliament. If Parliament was that derogatory, in the way we put it, it is so saddening. Let's be blunt.
No,
and let's say it as it is. As we are converging here today, what's the matter about? It's about the public safety of the state.
Yeah.
And we are equally threatened, just as everybody is threatened in the state.
Very much so.
Let me tell you, he talked about our colleague who just got threatened and had to go on his knees. It happens to every national of state. I'm saying it happens to every national of state.
Yes, so many Ghanaians have reported similar.
Oh, great! Incidents. So many Ghanaians.
Yeah, but it looks like
I'm coming.
When it comes to the MP, they deserve to be
not necessarily. That is your interpretation. You are squaring on the subject. That is not. That is not the situation.
It is actually.
There have been MPs.
Because that's example.
No, let me tell you. There have been MPs who have been robbed, gone silent. Nobody hears about it, just like ordinary Ghanaians. Now, you know the danger. When we lose the life of that MP, we the same taxpayers, I pay taxes as well, are going to bunch our tax money and go with the state to commit into an exercise to bring a new person out of our lot. And we are going to square the same charge on that personality. What are we doing to ourselves?
No, but
answer me. What are we doing to ourselves?
That's not the only instance under which anybody can actually call for a by-election. The MP can wake up one morning and say, I'm fed up with being in Parliament. We'll still call for a by-election. He can actually decide to be a chief. We'll call for a by-election. He can decide that I'm actually fed up with being in Ghana's Parliament. I want to relocate.
You see, you're looking for plethora. You're looking for a lot of answers to square on this matter. If I come by the same, I'm saying, listen, I'm giving you your conclusion. If I come by the same measure, you said when it comes to the interest of the MPs, they bond together. That's where you are going to end.
Yeah, it looks like.
No, that's where you're going to end. It doesn't look like that. I can preempt where you end because that is the narrative. Yeah, that is why it is so saddening.
The reality is
and then you ask the same measure of demand that we expect you to do A, we expect you to do B, we expect you to do C, we expect you to do F. The same guinea pig you are ushering around. If you don't take care of them, where do they go? How do they get it for you?
I understand.
It's as if we just enjoy lambasting matters when they come to the front burner of members of the legislature. I don't blame us. And I don't blame anybody who chastises the MPs.
You represent your constituents,
because at the end of the day,
do your constituents feel that
the Constitution talked about prior approval by Parliament. If the institution of Parliament was just mere, the words would not be crafted in this manner.
Yes.
Because of the importance of that institution, we as the people must educate ourselves to appreciate that it is not just a mere state arm which sits somewhere, but it is an instrumental and effective arm that helps the equation to become a complete expression.
How do you convince people that this is not purely
No,
out
but
of,
but
out
with
of a
the
sense
likes of yourself, no, with your like of yourself,
Because
who are
purely,
highly enlightened, who do
my
not see,
difficulty
who
is
do
that-
not see
Yes.
the essence of having even a parliament? Why should we? No, but that is the essence of it. No, that is the essence of it.
Honorable, I have not made any such claim here.
Unfortunately, the low side is what you're
Yes.
saying. The people you represent.
Yes, it matters more to me.
Is it for nothing that in the scheme of governance we'll say, let us all come round the table and decide for one person to be our representative? That in itself should tell you the premium by which we are placing on that character. And so we should put that in action and not just, forgive me, more. You're not the only person. We listen, we are in this country. We've listened to other commentaries.
Should I not tell you something?
Tell who?
That the people you represent
If you
are
don't
opposed
know,
to you getting
no,
something.
listen, if you don't know,
Don't you- aren't you
what do they
worried
get?
about-
No, who is not worried? If I'm not worried, would I be
Aren't
here?
you worried
No, let me
about
find you. Let me give it back to you.
representatives,
Let me give it
the-
back
the-
to you.
the people-
If I do not worry about what
Yes.
is happening in the state, will I be here?
I'm not saying that.
No. It is in the discharge of my duty.
I get you.
It is the discharge of my responsibility.
I get you.
So we should look at the positives. A week ago or sometime, I was in another function, and the speakers were just running a certain path, and I said, "Hey,
But to be
wait
fair,
a minute.
I don't want this
I'm
conversation
coming.
to be a referendum on Parliament.
Don't worry.
And I'm
No,
sure
I'm not saying
you'd
it's a
have lost big time
this
before to be out there.
this can never be a referendum on
I'm
Parliament.
saying that.
This is-
I don't want
this
it
is-
to be.
This is a good commencement.
I get you.
It's a
But I'm
commencement
just
to what we are
saying
going
that-
to do.
I'm
But
just saying that
let's
the opposition to you getting that particular special treatment, and this is special treatment, let's be fair.
special in what sense?
You as a member of Parliament.
So is it a special
today,
treatment?
If you
Is
feel,
it just a
if
second?
you feel threatened
No, wait.
as a member of Parliament,
is it a special?
also as a citizen
No,
of this
listen.
republic,
Is it?
I can ask the police for protection.
Sorry.
I
Yes.
can.
It's an entitlement.
I get you.
When,
So
when you feel threatened.
but yes, I can ask for the
And
so
the
why
police
are
will
individual
protect you.
MPs not asking police for protection?
Point is that
Why is it that everybody, whether
made-
threatened or not,
he
should be
made-
necessarily giving police
he
protection?
made the point that you are chosen from 30 million Ghanaians,
Yeah.
275 people, to represent 30 million Ghanaians. Yes, because all of us cannot congregate in one location and practice a Athenian democracy.
I get you.
And so you are elected 275. We're saying that these people who emerge from the overwhelming numbers that we have deserves to be protected, just as all other citizens deserve to be protected.
I agree.
But that explains why there is a committee.
Exactly.
So our committee is the security committee in
Yes.
Parliament. Day in, day out, we exercise oversight over the executive with the view to ensuring that our collective security is guaranteed. Are those not measures that we sit and deliberate upon for the benefit of the generality
Want to
of our
believe you've
people?
been doing a very good
So
job.
whilst doing that, you're saying that the few who have been elected by the majority of the people
Yeah.
should themselves not be granted protection like their colleagues in the other arms of government
I agree
have
with
been
you.
granted.
So as we speak today,
I've never heard you complain about protection for the judiciary.
judiciary.
I've never heard you do that.
But because
I have never heard you
hardly
complain
hear-
about protection for the president. Have you ever done that, Raymond?
I have not complained about that.
So why do you worry when members of parliament ask that they be treated equally, like their peers in the judiciary and in the executive?
The only difficulty here is
Do
that
we appreciate the principle of separation of powers?
We
Do we?
agree, but
Do we?
separation
No.
of
Do we
powers is not
appreciate that?
reduced to
No.
having
No.
separate
Do we appreciate that? Do we appreciate that?
How is your job
Is it
hampered
part?
by
Is
not having
it?
a
So
street man
wait.
in your
Listen. Is it part of
Yes.
the engagement within that sphere that there must be separation of powers in this whole architecture? Do we appreciate
but
that?
separation of
No.
powers-
Where comes in the bat? Where comes in the bat? That is where you. That is where you
Baron de
begin.
Montesquieu properly. There is no part it was conceived. It is supposed to be the protection of the people in the office that really constitutes separation of powers. It is your oversight responsibilities. Are you saying that that is hampered by you not having a security mat at home? That's the question that's important.
All right, but
your role as MP and your oversight responsibility over the interior ministry.
Let me tell you.
Is that reduced in any way because you don't have a security mat at home?
Let me tell you.
Yes,
it
does. It does.
Don't worry.
The fact that,
for instance, you are as human as I am.
Yes.
When you've been asked to come to Anchor here,
yes.
and Raymond, you sit here, and you just get a call from home.
Yeah.
That your house is destabilized.
Yeah.
Would you be in the same frame of mind to sit here to conduct your business?
I'll be very worried. I agree.
Thank you very much.
But
that answers my question. I don't need to go further.
I get you.
I don't need to go further.
So
I don't need to go further.
All 275 have these calls
MPs are human beings just like ourselves. Many a times when we express when we express the matters, the MPs have done nothing.
Why is it that the MPs are not on their own going to the police and making a request that I have a problem? Honorable Sakaka has no problem. The people in the constituency, they laugh and
there is always order, even in this program.
Yes.
I was here before you started, but yourselves and James had been mic'd.
Yeah.
So I had to bid my time and wait for you to do your first session. Things must be done orderly. So we cannot just get up in a class and say everybody go for your own. That is never done. This is a society we are building for ourselves.
So this is
and we must do things.
It's a request for individuals.
It is not a request for individuals. It is a request for the institution of Parliament.
Okay.
It's not for individual members. We are asking that the institution of Parliament and its members within must be taken care of. Let's look at the debate very well.
Yeah,
don't let us trivialize the matter.
No, that's what I'm looking at.
More often than not, my worry for this beautiful country of ours, we trivialize matters too quick.
No, it's just
and so we don't end up having a real conversation and advancing useful opinions that will help us shape the state. So we keep going in circles.
This competition is pretty simple.
No, it's never simple.
It's pretty simple.
Simple to you because of the way you pick up your ingredients.
No, it's
to throw
simple.
at the audience.
No,
and you see,
simple.
Unfortunately, the audience are always carrying away. Some will just listen to you and I for a minute. Have got another assignment and lives. That's all they carry away. Some will sit through, and then they will be able to weigh and see all that we have said here, and then we'll sit back and say, I think he was making a genuine point. I think I have to really look at the matter. But we don't do this. The moment this matter drops, it is trivialized, it is dismissed, and these people are asking too much of us, and who are they? And we are spending the taxpayers' money on them, and we are doing B, we are doing C.
But all of these are factual statements, right?
I haven't said they are not factual statements. Is there a fact that MPs pay taxes as well?
It is true.
No, we need to educate ourselves.
Yes.
That mantra is so, for me, pedestrian when used. Because it doesn't end anywhere. And I need people like yourselves who sit on high platforms.
We debate how much we spend on the executive.
Realm of the state is the media. And I enjoy your powers. And I expect that we need to educate our people. We need to teach them the right stuff. Get them to appreciate that we are all in this thing together. It fails on us. I'm not asking you to come and I'm not asking you to do PR for us. I'm not asking you to do PR for us. The list of it.
I am
but
demanding that you justify
let us not trivialize the germane matters.
No, it's not being trivialized at all.
No, it is. The way you dismiss it, I said your promo, they say. Let me tell you, the narratives.
Because I'm not in Parliament. I'm
not necessarily. Not necessarily. You are doing a reported speech.
Yes.
But the manner in which you construct your tenses, and let's not run away from it. By the time you end up speaking, we know where it's directed towards. But that is not why you brought us here. Let's go to the main matter.
I get your point. So, folks, we need to move away from the quest to get MPs more protection. Protection that will make them safer and do the work for you and I in a way that is good and that will ensure that our democracy is protected. Now, there's another form of protection that's required. Before the commencement of this conversation, I did tell you about the fact that in court today, what really happened was that the state put this case out there. The state says that the senior police officer, Benjamin Agojo, did engage on a platform with some 8 others, and the 8 others, they are all in custody one way or the other, or being charged with treason and these related offenses. These 8 had plans of demonstrating, and their demonstration was supposed to lead to a takeover of government Indeed, they say he had provided cash to support the demonstration. He said he had drafted a statement to be read at this particular demonstration. And he had made comments on that platform that suggested that he was equally interested in the overthrow of the state. The comments came as a shock to many. The family is dismissing it. He himself believes that this is an attack on him and an attempt to gag him from expressing opinions as a Ghanaian. Beyond this, the question we're asking on the show here today is there a real threat? What do we do to safeguard our democracy? And the gentlemen with me here are the ones who are supposed to help us do the conversation. And they are from Parliament. I did tell you about the Defense and Interior Committee being a very important committee. Chairman, is there any briefing you in Parliament have gotten that suggests that beyond what is being put in court and all the other things, there's a real threat to our democracy as we speak?
Not necessarily to that effect. I haven't received any briefing in Parliament speaking that our democracy is under threat. No.
Not at all?
Not at all.
And the arrest and subsequent prosecution of the people involved in this particular matter, did this come to you as a shock?
I was surprised that people could plan what is being said.
Even with the idea in this century.
But I have to hasten slowly because it's a matter which is still under investigation. And so from where some of us sit, we have to be a bit watchful and careful when matters like this break, because you may be one who would call for the justice post all the matters being discussed. At the end of the day, you are the rep to the people, and you are the one who's supposed to uphold the law and ensure that the law is enforced. And law enforcement must be allowed to rule in this democracy. I think that is the only way we can pride ourselves as a true democracy.
That's interesting. Now, Honorable Gaga, when you heard the details of that particular charge sheet, what came to mind immediately?
Well, Raymond, first of all, let me indicate in very clear terms that I am from the minority in Parliament. He's from the majority, so his party is in government. Right. But the point needs to be made that in the unlikely event that a coup is staged in this country today, Parliament is going to be dissolved and the two of us will be asked to report to the nearest police station for our own safety. Now the Constitution enjoins Ghanaian citizens to rise up and at all times in defense of the constitutional order when there is an attempt to abrogate the current democratic dispensation. And so I want to serve notice that from the minority in Parliament, we would join hands with the state security apparatus to fiercely resist any attempt to overthrow the government, the democratically elected government of our republic. But that said, it is also important that this government does not frame people up in an attempt to gag and to introduce a culture of silence by proffering all kinds of charges against citizens of our country. Especially when officers, senior officers are involved. I'm not saying that anybody is above the law, but Raymond, reading through the facts that were presented in court today,
were you not scandalized?
I feel scandalized. Not because of the alleged attempt.
Yeah, because it's a very terrible thing.
But because these are the facts that have grounded the charge of abetment of treason. I feel scandalized in that respect. Because looking at the facts on the face of it, I do not think that these facts will sustain the charge that have been proffered. This is a very serious crime. The punishment could be death.
Yeah.
So you see, we must get serious.
No, sorry.
Now,
the man's commitment to plan?
Raymond, first of all, let me state that in law when somebody is charged, the facts put out there by the prosecution are usually would constitute one aspect, one side of the story.
That's true.
So you have the prosecution side of the story and you have the defense side to the story. They are relying on WhatsApp conversations.
That's true.
And in the WhatsApp conversations,
again, there's
Dr. Agozo, yes, Dr. Agozo,
said to appease about
yes, I've heard his lawyer speak extensively on this issue. And according to his lawyer, the WhatsApp he sent relative to the demonstration that the group intended to embark upon was a mere advice that they couldn't demonstrate without serving notice on the police.
As people give advice.
That aspect of the facts do not find expression in the facts presented in court today. Money. First of all, there is also this aspect that doesn't find expression in the facts that the NGO was incorporated to do philanthropic work. And it is on record that the NGO, led by the doctor involved, traveled all the way to the north to do medical screening for underprivileged people.
The Action Ghana group.
Yes.
So that's
the object for which the NGO was incorporated. And so in Dr.
NGOs that are doing medical outreach, why are they embarking on demonstrations?
Wait a minute, according to Dr. Agozo's lawyer.
Yeah.
And I have no cause to doubt what the lawyer says. Just as we have put out the facts presented by the prosecution today.
Yeah.
His lawyer's view on the matter is that his client contributed money to advance the cause of philanthropy because the NGO has been involved in medical screening, etc. In any case, it is not for us to pass judgment here.
Very much
the
so.
most important thing is that the state has preferred charges against them. But I am saying that it is important that the people involved are accorded all the courtesies that the law anticipates. They have rights. Their rights must be respected. I am a bit worried that, for instance, very senior military officers like Colonel Gamele initially were detained by the BNI for so long a time, contrary to armed forces regulations. This is a very senior officer. I mean, in times past, this country has dealt with alleged coup makers, put some before court martials, convicted some were sentenced to death, but at all times, they were treated with respect in accordance with the regulations of the services that they belong to. So in the case of Colonel Gamele, I have a strong feeling that initially when he was detained at the BNI and his family denied access to him was an abuse. Dr. Agozo is a very senior officer. He's not a flight risk. Why would you detain him at the BNI and deny his family access? He's not a flight risk. He's a serving officer. Place him under house arrest. We have done that before in dealing with senior officers. The government
believes is intending to overthrow government.
He is an officer. Remember that he has not even been interdicted.
Oh, not yet, of course.
He has not been interdicted.
Yes.
And that is why it is important that some courtesies be accorded him. Let him be placed under house arrest, under 24-hour guard. That is how senior officers are treated. That is not to say they are above the law.
Okay.
So my point is that whilst the state has a duty to fish out for troublemakers and deal with them in accordance with law, we must also be mindful that the way we treat senior officers could in itself become a destabilizing factor. We don't want that.
How so?
We don't want that.
How so?
He's a senior officer.
But
there are precedents regarding how senior officers will be treated when there is suspicion that they have fallen foul of the law. And I'll give you an example. At our time, we had occasion to deal with a senior officer. I don't want to mention his name here. At that time, he was accused of some infractions, etc.
Infraction?
Yes. Treason. No, it doesn't matter. Okay. It doesn't matter. And in accordance with standard practice, we accorded all the necessary courtesies. When it came to the point when he had to be detained, that was done very professionally. He was confined in his home, kept under 24-hour guard. That is how it is done. So I am saying that this whole exercise of preferring charges, etc., yes, it lies within the power of the state to do so. But in doing so, let us follow precedent. That is the point I'm trying to make. Let us follow precedent. But with regards to the facts that you have just read, the gaps are too many to be counted here, but I don't want to sound prejudicial.
Okay.
But let this not be a tool for gagging the outspokenness of Ghanaians. Is it, Dr. Gozo has made a point, and today he repeated himself that he cannot be gagged. Is it true that in the past he had been very vocal and critical of how state institutions, including his own service, the police service, is treated? Is it true?
That's true. I mean, he's talking about
if that is anything to go by, then we need to be careful here.
But you're never worried about the claim that the man provided financial support for a demonstration?
I said the facts the lawyer of Dr. Gozo has put out there sharply contradicts the facts the state has put out, before court. So, while these facts are now going to be proven, right, so you give the state the benefit of the doubt, but you must also give the defense counsel the benefit of the doubt, because witnesses are going to be called and vigorously cross-examined. Okay. The standard of proof is very high. It's proof beyond reasonable doubt. So we have no reason.
I'll take views of chairman, but before
we have no reason to discount one version and accept hook, line, and sinker the version of the state.
I get.
In law, that is not acceptable.
I get you. It might be problematic, but his lawyers have raised that issue. Of course, you're a lawyer, so I need to get your thoughts on it. The lawyers don't feel that they should have taken him to this particular court, the circuit court, because really
it lacks jurisdiction.
That is what they said.
Yes, the court, the circuit court lacks jurisdiction. Clearly, this is a matter that is triable by the High Court, and even in the case of high treason, the High Court is constituted by a panel of 3 High Court justices. So as to why they would send him to a circuit court which clearly lacks jurisdiction beats my imagination. Was it just an attempt to have him remanded? And to
if that's to further investigations, what's the problem with that?
Further investigations?
Yes.
No, but why they have the facts? They said they had been investigating this matter for 15 months before they struck.
Yeah.
So why should we always hide under investigations and trample upon the fundamental rights of citizens? The state had been investigating this according to government's own spokespersons. The Minister for Information spoke. They had mounted surveillance, investigated this matter for 15 months. So there cannot be any justification why the high courts are in session. Why did they go to the
let me hear from your chairman. Chairman Sede Champon, I need to get this part from you too. Do you also feel that there's a problem with how this matter has been handled, the treatment of the officers involved? More importantly, Dr. Benjamin Agojo, who is before court, was put before court today. Do you think that there's a problem with that, mindful of how serious the alleged crime is?
First and foremost, Raymond, I think it is important for us to all understand and appreciate that in this country of ours, the freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and this dispensation we're enjoying today have been battered back and forth unnecessarily since we attained independence. And anytime it had come up, some may describe it as amateurish. I want to go further to say, let's look into history a little bit. In 1979, May 15th uprising by former President J.J. Rawlings and his group. It happened. That came up, and June 4, he was on trial. by the military, and June 4 came. And he was released, and we moved on. Our democracy was set in motion after 79. In 1981, 31st December, we suffered another, and this democracy went away. Like my colleague rightly said here, any moment we have been running a democracy and we have destabilized the state. The people's reps are the first casualties.
Parliament is dissolved.
It is totally dissolved. So like he rightly said, I, with every strength of mine, and certainly the majority group that I believe and I work with, will fight any attempt to destabilize this state, be it whichever way you would describe it, because it has not helped this country in its development. Fast forward, I'm gladdened that today in this country, if matters of this break, rights of people are respected. People who are found to be maybe alleged perpetrators have rights to counsel. And today we are all witnessing, and they have right to even air their voices. We have listened to ACP Dr. Bojo today speak to the media. Years back, we never witnessed that.
You're saying that previously they were prevented from speaking?
People were not even allowed to speak. People were not even allowed, families were not even allowed to visit. When there had been reports of this nature in this country, people had been killed. They never had right to counsel. We should not continue that practice. So today, I am happy we have moved on. And once we have moved on, we must allow law enforcement to work. We must not trivialize matters. Beautifully captured, as my colleague said, the facts on the face of the record. This is what we have. And like he said, why am I happy they have rights to counsel? Because they will certainly have their side of defense as the prosecution goes on. This is the beauty of the democracy we are in. So if anybody attempts to throw this away and believes that we would all sit and watch aloof, they are mistaken. And like I said, it may sound comical in the ears of people, but like I said, all coup d'etats or destabilizations of states starts amateurly. Everybody looks at it as it's funny.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, we suffer.
So we can't dismiss this, really?
No. Let us allow due process to go. That is why I talked about allow law enforcement to work. Okay. Don't trivialize the matters. I've listened many a times, and I've occasioned to know the lawyers who speak. Let us not speak with emotions. Let us look at the matters. And they know once their clients are put before the law courts, if their facts are not genuine, they walk away. Look, in this very matter, there is a nursing officer. She's on bail. She's under investigations. That is the joy I have in my heart. Rights of people that I represent are respected. This is what we have to force. Allow the law to work. Allow due process to take its course. That is what we should all pray for. I would not jump and speak against any person who is working. I have listening to concerns raised by the police institution as a service, that they are not comfortable with their colleague who has been so far alleged to be a partaker of the group called
Take Action Ghana.
Take Action Ghana. And by so, they think that they need to look at it. I'm sure there are many ways of going around the matter because the police have a regulation. James just talked about the Armed Forces regulation per his appreciation of how Colonel Gamale was treated. Certainly, we must allow the law to work. And that's what I mean by law enforcement. So allow the systems to work. We need to allow them to work. Let us not trivialize. When we trivialize the matters, people who will gag anybody in this country from speaking, and where we have developed that.
But the man himself feels so. The guy at the
that is his opinion. I don't see that who is gagging him. Who cares to gag him?
He feels that all of this is a ploy to gag him.
That is his opinion. He has a day in court. He will prove it through. If it is so, I can't sit here and, call for a judicial arrangement here by my court. It is never done.
I get you.
You have your day in court. And that is one error in this country that I always worry about. We are too quick to run to the microphone and trivialize matters. It is so saddening. I expect senior officers who understand the law, who have handled operations of this country, and who knows that you don't necessarily have to run your mouth. There's a standard operating procedure. Let us allow that to work. That's law enforcement. When you are in the saddle, when you have the opportunity to educate, you educate people. There's nobody above the law. I sit here in this jacket as a rep of the state. I'm not above the law. If I err, I'll be taken in there.
I see.
And if my matter is wrong, the state deals with me. That's where we are all admonished when we step out of the doors of our homes. Please ensure you walk the path clean. Do not have any altercations with the state. This is the state of Ghana. This is the Republic of Ghana. Let us allow the laws we have set by ourselves govern. It isn't today I'm sitting on the majority, so I'm speaking this way. This is me. I'll forever and ever uphold the institution. Look, I am privileged today to be running my mouth here on this matter. Where is that coming from? It is the Bill of Rights. I always pray that we must hold in high esteem the Constitution of the Republic. Any attempt to subvert that, no way. The people's power will not run into anybody. Similarly, people must be given right to counsel. It is matter that we cannot run away from. And that is happening. We are respecting the rights of people in this country.
You don't think that this, the Honorable James Agaga made reference to how others have been treated in times past, specifically how senior officers are treated, especially when we suspect they are engaged in some things of this sort. You don't think that the seeming departure for what's the norm in this case is problematic? You don't think so?
We've had series of conversations on situations as and when they occur. It is not with us alone. Many a security operation, more often than not, fault in these matters. So we keep drumming the point home that let us respect our standard operating procedures. We should never cease advocating on those paths. So I really respect the points my brother James made. But let me go further to say that let us allow law enforcement to operate. Let us allow due process to operate. Let us not trivialize the matters. It doesn't help anybody.
I get you. I understand that. But finally, and I'm hearing from you, Mr. Gaga, on this particular point. Can we have, as a state, modes established that so far as no matter who you are, whichever government is in office, this is how we will treat matters of this sort? This is how we will do, because this is not the first time somebody has raised an issue of going to a lower court in an attempt to get people remanded over a matter when the matter was surely not panned there. And it becomes somewhat problematic for the lawyers. Indeed, in this case, Martin Pebu says he's really going to petition the Attorney General because he feels they're just going to waste so much time there so that much of the man's time is spent behind cells or in the BNI cells, which to him will not promote his well-being. Can we develop that?
Absolutely. I think Defense Counsel for Dr. Agosu hit the nail right on the head. Sometimes the attitude of the state when they are dealing with accused persons leaves much to be desired.
Okay.
And so,
but this state is also when you are in power. Because this is the first time complaints like this have been made.
No. It doesn't matter. What is wrong is wrong.
I get you.
An abuse is an abuse.
I understand that.
And in my practice, I've encountered, similar situations where the accused persons are taken to a lower court which hasn't got jurisdiction for purposes of getting them remanded.
Okay.
That is unacceptable. It's a violation of the rights of the accused persons. Now he was put before a circuit court, obviously because the circuit court hasn't even got jurisdiction to deal with the matter. Any application for bail by defense counsel is not going to materialize. Therein lies the abuse.
Is the wrong forum.
So you think, okay, they've taken him to court, all right, but the rights that could be exploited by an accused person cannot be exploited at that forum. That is another form of abuse. And seriously, we must look at this practice and attitude
I have a last
of the
question
state.
before, because the show's ended. I just have to ask you this question. Do you think that there's a real threat to the stability of the state? Deep within you, mindful of the fact that you've been interior minister before.
I think Dr. Agozu made some statements which have landed him in trouble now, and that is why he probably thinks he's being gagged. I think he said something to the effect that the conditions for an Arab Spring are prevalent in this country. And what are those conditions? Unemployment, corruption, nepotism.
You support them?
These statements have been made time without number by many an analyst.
Do you support
political
them?
analysts, security analysts.
You are giving me other people. I want you. Do you support them? That it is time and there is.
I don't wish for us to have an.
No, you're not answering the question.
In
I'm
this
asking
country,
whether you
because
support or
those
you believe.
springs are usually characterized by violence and so on and so
signs on the
forth.
ground. Are the signs on the ground?
I think we have a way of kicking out governments in this country through the ballot box. And so, yes, in as much as the conditions for an Arab Spring are prevalent in this country, I know deep down my heart that in 2020, this government is going to be kicked out through the tap.
That is a very funny wish.
Thank you so much. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here today.
That is the best
for us on UPfront today.